I've been working here in my scripture since last we met, and here I've got some new things to talk about. If you do want to go over the old stuff, let me know. If you want that foundational stuff, like why would I believe in the Church of Flying Spaghetti Monster, why would I become a member, we'll go over that if you like. You can see the link in the description to that. And I do want to go over what has happened to our coinage. We are all Americans here. I am wearing the beautiful colours of our American country. And on the coin it does say, "In God we trust," and I'll just go over the history of how that got there, who put it there, and why. Because it's a very interesting story, and if you don't believe any of these facts, I do encourage you to go check them out yourself on the internet. Go find reliable sources, besides some idiots screaming in public. It's not very reliable. But I'm not here to be reliable. I'm here to sow the seeds of doubt in your mind so that you go check them yourself. But anyway, here on November 13th of 1861, Reverend M.R. Watkinson of the Ridleyville, Pennsylvania church wrote a letter to the Secretary of the Treasury, the American Treasury, Salmon P. Chase. Again, 1861, about the time of the Civil War. So almost 100 years after the founding of this country, a letter is written to Secretary Salmon Chase by an obvious Christian, Reverend M.R. Watkinson. I want to point out who in this story is a Christian and who is not. Here is the letter. "Dear Sir, you are about to submit your annual report to the Congress respecting the affairs of the national finances. One fact touching our currency has hitherto been seriously overlooked." Pardon me. "I mean the recognition of the Almighty God in some form on our coins. You are probably a Christian. What if our republic were not shattered beyond reconstitution? Would not the antiquaries of succeeding centuries rightly reason from our past that we are a heathen nation? What I propose is that instead of the goddess with a lowercase g, instead of the goddess of liberty, also with a lowercase l, we shall have next inside the 13 stars a ring." And then it goes on to describe how he would like the coin to be. I won't bore you with the details. It ends though with the words God, liberty and law in all capitals. So there's the recommendation from M.R. Watkinson. He goes on to say, "This would make a beautiful coin to which no possible citizen could object. This would relieve us from the ignominy of heathenism. This would place upon us openly, under the divine protection we have personally claimed. To you first I address a subject that must be agitated." So here we have the very first letter that proposes putting deity on our coinage. And which deity is it? He says specifically, "You are probably a Christian." And then he starts calling we. He starts using that in-group terminology to say we must do this. And why does he do it? He states it at the end. The purpose. This will relieve us from the ignominy of heathenism. He's saying we are ignominious as a country because we do not serve the Almighty God on our coinage, as if our God gave a shit about coinage. And let me just point out here that the Reverend says that no possible citizen could object. Well, I think that that is easily proved wrong, as I am a citizen and I object. So unless I am impossible, and nothing is impossible, then I don't know what the fuck he's talking about here. So anyway, that's November 13th. And then on November 20th, that's 1 week later, the Secretary Chase sends a letter to James Pollock, the director of the Mint at Philadelphia, And this is that letter, 1 week later, after the very first letter is written about putting God on our coins. 1 week later, here's the letter that Secretary Chase, Salmon P. Chase, I wonder if he was a Christian. This is what he writes. Dear Sir, he writes this to James Pollock. Dear Sir, no nation can be strong except in the strength of God, or safe except in his defense. The trust of our people in God should be declared on our national coins. He says, you will cause a device to be prepared without unnecessary delay, with a motto expressing in the fewest and tersest words possible this national recognition. So work started on that, and the people redesigned our coinage in the year 1863. They brought it before Congress because that is what was required to change the coinage. And so they brought it before Congress on December 9th of 1863. Oh, well, actually, hold on. No, just before that, after the design had been worked on, he wrote a letter again from that same Secretary Chase. He wrote a letter, and I won't bore you with that, but at the end of it, dated December 9th, 1863, he said it should be changed to read, all capitals, in God we trust. And there is the first usage of that phrase in a letter dated December 9th, 1863, from Secretary Chase, a Christian. And then that design was passed through Congress. It was passed on April 22nd, 1864, and the motto first appeared on the 1864 2-cent coin. That's the fastest I've ever heard of anything going through the Congress, eh? Do you reckon our Congress can get something done that fast? Trying to put God on the coinage, it only took them, 3 years? And then you're saying, well, that is the American motto, isn't it? It's always been the motto. No, that is the first instance of its use ever. It became the official motto 100 years almost later, in 1956, when Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was a Presbyterian, a Christian I might say, made it the official motto, even though E pluribus unum, out of many one, the 13 character motto that we've had since the beginning, and part of the Great Seal, is the unofficial motto, even though it's been on our seal since the beginning. And then in 56, Dwight D. Eisenhower made "In God We Trust" the official motto of this country. Well, as one of the dissenters, I would like to say this is an affront to me and my morality. Your Christian God is a God of blood, a God of murder, and a God of genocide. And if you don't believe me, you are cherry-picking your religion. And I don't appreciate that, and I don't appreciate your God on my money. That's why I hate your money. That's why I will not participate in this system, because it worships that Old Testament God, the God of Mammon, and it also worships the New Testament God, the blood God, Jesus Christ. And he is very offensive to me. I can't stand him, and I want him off of my money. I'm one of these unbelievable, impossible citizens that are our Christian, not even forefathers, only 3 fathers. They're not all the way 4. They were just in 60 or 1860s. So anyway, if you would also like to disagree with having "In God We Trust" on our money, do comment. And there's lots of places that you can look to sign a petition that asks for that to please come off of our money, because we do not want the Christian God of blood on the coinage of the United States, as there is a very definite separation between church and state, and the motto "In God We Trust" needs to come off our coinage. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Jesus Christ, the New Testament God, who is so loving and compassionate,